Straight ahead on CCX News, towing troubles.
I think we took in a couple dozen cars.
A busy snow day leaves some drivers needing to pay up. Plus, Governor Tim Walz pays a visit to our area, what he has to say about taxes. And later, advice for aspiring authors.
Just go for it. I mean, don't be scared of the possibilities, because your imagination can do anything.
This from two Wayzata 13-year-olds who are now published authors themselves. CCX News starts right now.
Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. First, Mother Nature hit us with ice and snow, and now to add insult to injury, many people are dealing with towed vehicles. Reporter Sonia Goen shows us how a Crystal towing company is handling the uptick in service calls.
Shannon, I'm at North Suburban Towing, and the scene here is absolutely crazy. Check out all these vehicles. Dozens and dozens of cars were towed overnight. Now, some of them are due to accident, but the majority are due to parking restrictions.
North Suburban Towing, can you hold please? Thank you. North Suburban Towing.
To say the phones are ringing off the hook
Yep.
would be putting it mildly.
Not a Volvo XL90, correct?
Dakota Gangloff is a master at multitasking.
And you want it towed where?
He has to be.
It's been absolutely insane.
On Thursday, parking restrictions went into effect for Golden Valley, Robbinsdale, Brooklyn Center, New Hope, and Crystal. Many of the cars ended up here.
Was it in Crystal?
At least 6 cars were picked up overnight in Crystal for violating the parking restriction.
But what kind of car?
Dakota is trying to keep up with the madness.
Police wanting us to go pick up a vehicle, or somebody calling to see how much it is to get their vehicle out, what they need to get their vehicle out.
It's not cheap to get your vehicle out of impound. The rates depend on the type of vehicle.
I think we took in a couple dozen cars.
North Suburban Towing is also busy responding to accidents.
Eastbound 610 at 252, he hit a guardrail.
A bus hit a guardrail.
We're probably looking at a few hours, but we'll get someone over there as soon as we can.
All this is a reminder to watch where you park your vehicle during snow emergencies and to drive safely.
Depends on where my drivers are right now and where I can get them to.
In Crystal, Sonia Goins, CCX News.
If your vehicle was towed, you can only pay in cash, and you need proper identification to show that the vehicle belongs to you. A big day for TwinWest Chamber of Commerce. Governor Tim Walz spoke at their legislative breakfast, where he highlighted a recent survey that ranked Minnesota as the 3rd happiest state.
I think it's a measurement of the time that I have the privilege of this office. I have to balance budgets, keep the state safe, do those things. But to be honest, at the end of the day, how happy are people and how much opportunity do they have in life?
That was the central theme to the governor's talk. He noted that while Minnesota is in the top 10 states for taxation, it's also on a number of other top 10 lists.
In many of the categories, from education attainment to per capita incomes to life expectancy to happiness, we rate in the top 10.
Shortly before he spoke, the chamber conducted an informal survey asking members to vote on what would best help businesses become more competitive. Cutting personal income tax won overwhelmingly. The governor highlighted that while pointing out his view that tax cuts can have consequences.
This is a group that cares about the same things I care about: safe, prosperous community with opportunities for all. I just would like them to think a little further beyond. If their goal, and I'm not saying it's not noble at all, their goal is to move Minnesota out of top 10 in taxes. How do you intend to keep us in the top 10 on these other areas that we're proud of? I think it's to get what you pay for.
Walz will submit a budget proposal to the Minnesota legislature by February 19th. It's expected to include increases in revenue for the state, but Walz also said he wants to restore the so-called Angel Tax Credit program, which provided tax breaks for investing in certain startups. Minnesota's 5th largest school district is kicking its search into high gear for a new superintendent. The Osseo area school district has been led by interim superintendent since Kate McGuire retired last summer, but her permanent successor could be named by the end of the month. Delane Cleveland joins us now from the district headquarters in Maple Grove with more. Delane?
Yes, Shannon, school may have been canceled today because of the weather, but the work never stops at the district office. The school board scheduled a special meeting today to talk about the superintendent search. That meeting just started a few minutes ago. About an hour from now, the board will announce the names of the candidates who will go on to the first round of interviews. Interviews for the first round finalists will begin next week, and the second round of interviews will take place the week of February 18th. The goal is to name the preferred candidate shortly after they're finished with the second round of interviews. The board has another special meeting scheduled for February 22nd at 7:30 in the morning to allow board members to discuss and identify the new superintendent. That position, by the way, comes with a base salary of $225,000 plus benefits. Reporting live in Maple Grove, Delane Cleveland, CCX News.
All right, thank you, Delane. Construction to ease congestion on I-494 between Maple Grove and Rogers is a little over a year away, but Maple Grove residents are getting their say on the project. MnDOT held a public meeting Thursday night to talk about the project, scheduled to begin in the summer of 2020. It will add a lane in each direction from Highway 610 to 101. The meeting also was to talk to residents who get to vote on whether or not they want a noise wall. The project manager says there's an easy way to determine where the noise walls would be.
If you know where Maple Grove Parkway is to 494, there'll pretty much be noise walls between that distance. And where, all you have to do is look at a map, and wherever you see a residential house, you can assume that a noise wall would be in front of it.
Residents should have received a ballot in the mail to vote. MnDOT says right now there's been an overwhelming response from the public in favor of the noise walls. 350,000 tons. That's how much salt the Twin Cities metro area uses every day to clear away the snow and ice. Public Works departments and environmentalists met Thursday in Plymouth to figure out a way to reduce that large number. Reporter Meredith Hackler shows us why reducing our salt use is important.
Lake life is the best life. That's a common saying in the land of 10,000 lakes. But when winter hits, those lakes we love oftentimes take a hit themselves.
Sodium chloride is rock salt, and the chloride part goes into the water and it stays there forever. It's a permanent pollutant and it's a toxin to things that live in our water.
And getting rid of those pollutants is not an easy task.
We could evaporate out our lakes, right? Like Lake Minnetonka, take the front end loader in and remove the salt, but we have the wrong climate. Or we could do reverse osmosis of Lake Minnetonka, remove the salt, but we'd kill all the microorganisms. So although there's ways to take salt out of the water, they're not practical for us.
And while new technologies are being developed to help,
our Duluth MnDOT is using a new chemical called potassium acetate. It has no chloride in it, and they're trying several of their routes, their tricky routes of the big bridges, with potassium acetate.
Those who advocate for the reduction in salt use say citizens can do their part as well.
Living in Minnesota, when we have these really snowy days, if we can work from home and not put the pressure on our cities to use salt on the roads to keep them clear for us, that's a win-win situation.
What homeowners really should do is two things. One is they should shovel. They should use their snow blower. They should use all mechanical methods to remove the snow, and only use salt if it's really important and critical.
In Plymouth, Meredith Hackler, CCX News.
And a correction to the number we had at the top of that story. It's 350,000 tons every year, not every day, that salt used to clear the Twin Cities roads. Advocates also say a good way homeowners can help is to challenge themselves to use half the amount of salt that they did the year before. Still ahead, meet an artist who captures imaginations through the art of doll making. Plus, highlights from a snowy section Alpine ski meet as a good number of skiers from the Northwest Metro qualify for state. But first, a chilly weekend with light snow possible on Sunday. Dolls can be more than a toy that tugs at the heart. As one artist demonstrates at the Robbin Gallery in Robbinsdale, they can symbolize many things. Neil Persley looks at the artist and her dolls in today's Weekend Showcase.
So the general theme of these dolls is emotion.
The Healing Doll exhibit at the Robbin Gallery is colorful, three-dimensional, and thought-provoking.
Well, I was raised in a household that I was called doll.
Barb Kobe is a very accomplished artist.
And I've been doing it for over 20 years.
Just last August, she published her first book, The Healing Doll Way.
I was raised Catholic, and then I started studying women's spirituality and women's development.
When she was in college, Barb wrote a paper on doll making and healing.
So it was just this huge motivation. I was just driven to to keep doing it and keep making the dolls.
Barb attaches more to these dolls than simply fabric, yarn, and objects.
I went to a doll making party with this doll group and I made this doll, and when I got home, the left hip was hanging out. Do you see it? And I was dealing with hip pain. And it was a sign for me from the doll that I needed to have my hip replaced. These dolls speak to me.
Normally, all these dolls live in Barb's home with she and her husband.
What he said to me, he said, I'm tired of having all these faces looking at me when I walk through the house. Let's have a show.
So most all of the works that you see are available for sale. Another cool thing Barb has done is to place the page number of a particular doll where it's referenced in her book to get the backstory on it. And she's made copies of her book available for gallery goers to use.
The number one question doll makers get asked is, where did you get the faces? And so I make them out of clays, different kinds of air dry clays. I like air dry clays.
The Healing Doll exhibit at the Robbin Gallery has a lot to offer. For Weekend Showcase, Neil Persley, CCX News.
The Healing Dollway exhibit is on display at the Robbin Gallery now through February 23rd. Still ahead, middle school students who call themselves authors. They are authors. But first, a former local hockey coach who is now a Hall of Famer. John Jacobson is in next.
While many high school sporting events were postponed Thursday, the show went on for local Alpine skiers at their section meet. Very snowy conditions at Afton Alps for the Section 5 meet. This is Marta Pendergrass of Wayzata. She's the top local skier, placing third. Top two teams and top individuals outside of those teams qualifying for state. Not far behind in fifth place is Deirdre O'Neill of Breck, her true run time, 1 minute 0.729 seconds. She's one of 3 Mustangs girls to advance. Sarah Hoffman of Hopkins is also state-bound. She places 8th with a true run time of 108.54. Kendall Riskovich of Breck also moving on after tying for 14th place. She's consistent, placing 15th in each run. And grabbing the last qualifying spot for the girls, Kendall Quall of Northwest Alpine from the Osseo schools. She places 19th. On to the boys' side, where several local skiers look to advance to state. Sam Scheidman of Breck, the top finisher from the area, after leading after the first run, he places third and qualifies for the state meet. Joshua Nelson of West Lutheran also shines. He ties for 6th place, two-run time of 105.21 for 2 runs. Blake Quall of Northwest Alpine performs well. Maple Grove skier, he places 8th. Quall moving on to state as well. Lincoln Hattlestead, one of 2 Hopkins boys who advance as well. Here's what a couple of local qualifiers had to say.
Well, the weather was definitely making things interesting. There's a lot of soft snow on the course today, but once the snow all got cleared, there was a lot of people helping out clearing snow, and under the snow there was a really good hard layer. So overall the race went pretty good. I think I got 9th and qualified for state, and my sister's right on the brink. She might have qualified as well.
I felt good, yeah, I don't know. I mean, sections is always a pretty high stake race, so it feels good to get a good couple runs under your belt every year, so.
The state Alpine meet is scheduled for Wednesday at Giants Ridge in Biwabik. The state Nordic ski meet is on Thursday, also at Giants Ridge. A play-in game in the Section 6AA girls hockey tournament also went on Thursday to keep the tournament schedule intact. 9th seed Armstrong-Cooper facing 8th seed Minnehaha United. Second period, Minnehaha's Emma Barborek putting it in front. Ava Larson knocks it in. It's 2-0 at that point. Later in the second, Maddie Duca snaps a shot home to make it 3-0 Minnehaha. The Wings break the shutout in the third period. Caitlin Quinn scores from the point for a power play goal, but AC doesn't score again, and season ends with a 3-1 loss. Minnehaha plays Blake next. The quarterfinals are Saturday at Parade Ice Garden with Wayzata, Osseo Park Center, and Hopkins Park all playing. A local Hall of Fame high school hockey coach is set to be honored Saturday afternoon in Maple Grove. Gary Stefano, who coached boys hockey at 4 local schools in his career, including 17 years at Maple Grove, will be honored before the Crimson's varsity game Saturday afternoon. Stefano was an assistant coach at both Cooper and Osseo, and then was the head coach at Park Center and Maple Grove for the final 22 years of his coaching career. He was 5 times named Section Coach of the Year and led both the Pirates and the Crimson to state tournament appearances. Stefano will drop the puck at 3 o'clock Saturday before Maple Grove's game with Irondale at the Maple Grove Community Center, with a ceremony before that around 2:45. Live prep wrestling tonight, Friday on CCX, as Cooper hosts Armstrong in the annual Robbinsdale Rumble match. That is it for sports. Shannon, back to you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Sean. Up next, middle school students who can call themselves authors. Hear their story when we come back. And finally, 2 Wayzata Central Middle School students are celebrating the success of their book. It's called Throne Spirits, and it's about 2 princesses who are sisters who don't get along, but they bond together to fight back against a ghost.
It had a decent plot, good enough that we could add, so we decided we should add on to this. And then a couple months later, Sigmas came in to talk to us, and they explained their company, and that's what made us decide maybe we really want to pursue with this. It wasn't just going to be a short story anymore, it was going to be possibly an actual book.
The book is one of the best sellers for a free book publishing company called Sigma's Bookshelf, which was also started by a Wayzata student who wanted to help other teen writers get published. The 2 students earned royalty checks, and they got to speak to other students about writing.
What I love about writing is you get to create your own characters and go make your own world. It's like I love to read, so this is kind of like reading, but you get to do whatever you want.
Both students say they would like to pursue writing as a hobby, and we've put a link to Sigma's Bookshelf on our website. They've got a workshop for aspiring teen writers coming up later this month. So congratulations, girls. That's all the news we have for now. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you right back here again tomorrow, starting at 4 o'clock.